I've seen some ridiculous things being said online and by Tyson Fury, Bob Arum, Frank Warren, etc. Some ridiculous things being said about this opponent, Tom Schwartz. You've had them coming out saying, well, it's no different than the Andy Ruiz fight for AJ. Bob Arum even came out and said Tom Schwartz would be favorite against Andy Ruiz. Never heard so much rubbish in all my life. Tom Schwartz would be absolutely smoked by Andy Ruiz. I said this before AJ fought Ruiz. Yeah, this guy's nowhere near as good. This is a guy who, without taking any serious punches, against Senad Gashi, people, he tried to quit in the second round. He hadn't been, knocked around and dropped a bunch of times, beaten up. No. He had a lively Senad Gashi in front of him that night, yeah. But he was so intimidated by Senad Gashi that he tried his best to get Senad Gashi disqualified in the second round. He tried to quit and get Gashi disqualified. Like, that is not something Andy Ruiz would do. Give me a break. Look at Andy Ruiz's amateur record. Compare it to Tom Schwartz's amateur record. Andy Ruiz had already fought for a world title and pushed Joseph Parker very close, many people believing that Andy Ruiz actually won the fight. So anybody out there saying that Schwartz is comparable to Ruiz, you just don't know boxing. You either don't know boxing or you've got an agenda. But anybody who's impartial, anybody who's objective and actually knows boxing, they're never going to say that Tom Schwartz is comparable to Ruiz. He's not. And not only is he not comparable to Ruiz, he's not as good as Ruiz, but also from a style point of view, his style matches up far better for Tyson Fury than Ruiz's style did for AJ. What advantage does Tom Schwartz have in this fight? You see, Ruiz had advantages against AJ in terms of hand speed, and we now know he had an advantage in terms of punch resistance. He also had an advantage in terms of experience. Andy Ruiz had a lot more amateur fights and professional fights than AJ. Not at as high a level, particularly in the pros, but he still had more experience, more time to hone his craft. He had certain advantages. Don't get it twisted. AJ still had the vast majority of advantages. Height, reach, athleticism, been fighting at championship level as a pro far longer, matchroom show, etc. But still, there were a couple of things that Andy Ruiz had in his favor. But with Tom Schwartz and Tyson Fury, what advantages does Tom Schwartz have over Tyson Fury? I can't think of any. There's none. In fact, Tom Schwartz wouldn't have any advantages over Anthony Joshua. So this is a totally different situation, totally different scenario. Tom Schwartz is there to be made a mug of by Tyson Fury. That's what he's there for. That's what he was picked for in the first place. He wasn't picked as somebody who could be a potential danger man. No, this guy was picked from obscurity to be a mug for Tyson Fury. He's an unbeaten guy. He's big. He's tall. So it's going to look good for the casuals who don't know any better. But for the people who do know better, they know exactly what this is. It's a farcical fight. But as I've said before, Tyson Fury is not the first lineal champion to go down this road of having these farcical fights and trying to pass them off as real world title fights. He's not the first guy to do that. George Foreman did it. Michael Spinks did it. And even world champions who had more legitimacy, that actually had multiple belts, they used to take some very easy fights in between serious fights. I mean, Joe Louis had what they used to call Bomb of the Month Club. Yeah, Muhammad Ali fought some questionable opposition here and there. Back in the days, it was common, fairly common for fighters to take gimme fights in between tough fights. But as I've mentioned previously, they were often non-title fights. That's one thing I can say. I remember when James Toney was middleweight and super middleweight champion, he had a few non-title fights while he was champion. just to keep ticking over and allow people in different parts of the country to see him. And I guess with Tyson Fury, this is a non-title fight, but he's just trying to bill it as, for the lineal or whatever. So look, it is what it is. See, here's the thing. I've got no massive issue with Tyson Fury taking this particular fight. If it's a one-off, I've got no real issue with that. The only issue I have is with the way he's trying to spin it and the way, Bob Arum and Frank Warren are trying to spin it as though it's on the level of AJ Ruiz, and it certainly is not. I certainly won't be buying this fight on pay-per-view. And I've bought Tyson Fury fights on pay-per-view. I bought the Wilder Fury fight. And I'll be buying the Wilder Fury rematch on pay-per-view if that happens. I got no problem putting money in the Gypsy King's pocket. But only when I think it's actually worth it. Yeah? I bought the AJ Ruiz because I knew that was going to be a decent scrap, however long it lasted. And I said so before the fight. In fact, just to labor the point a little bit, allow an old man his indulgences here, people. This was a poll. Shout out to Woody. This was a poll from the 30th of April. Yeah, a month before the AJ Ruiz fight. And of course, look, Dillon White and Andy Ruiz have never fought each other. Styles make fights. I can't tell you for certain that Dillon White would lose to Andy Ruiz. But this is indicative of how many people underestimated Andy Ruiz, in my opinion. Because people just looked at him and thought, oh, he's fat, so any of the top heavyweights are going to beat him. I suspect if I do a poll now, particularly on my YouTube channel, and ask people who's going to win between Ruiz and White, I think it's going to be, a lot more people, a much higher percentage of people picking Ruiz now than they were prior. Okay, and this is me here, by the way, saying, I said a long time ago I'd pick Ruiz to beat White, still feel the same. I say this is 30th of April. Woody himself saying, can't believe only 2 have voted for Ruiz. So there were people who rated Ruiz out there. I was one of them. I rated Ruiz prior to the AJ fights. I didn't just all of a sudden start saying he's good because he was fighting AJ. No. I was saying he was good long time. Yeah? I was saying he would beat Dillon White long time ago. And again, Styles make fights. Just because I think he can beat Dillon White, it doesn't mean he actually can. Yeah? The truth is only ever revealed in the ring. So that has to be said. But as I've mentioned, I think it's indicative of how much people underestimated Ruiz. But people in the know, like myself, like Woody, like others, we knew that this guy could really fight. I've looked at Tom Schwartz and sorry people, but this guy actually can't fight. When I first heard of the Fury-Schwartz fight, I wanted to give Schwartz the benefit of the doubt. But after further research, looking into his, previous fights, I realized this guy is a pudding. This guy's made to order for Tyson Fury. So I'm expecting kind of a farce, something maybe similar to the... I think it's probably going to be a cross between the Pianetta fight and the Sefer Safiri fight. The reason I say a cross between the two is because in the Pianetta fight, he wasn't really showboating as much as he was against Safiri. I think here, because Tyson Fury is making his Vegas debut, he's going to put on a show. He's going to be showboating. He's going to be having a laugh and all that kind of stuff in the ring. And, I think he's going to be doing the kind of showboating he was doing against Safiri, but throwing the kind of punches that he did against Pianetta. So that's what I'm expecting. A fairly easy night's work for Tyson Fury. If Tom Schwartz was able to pull off an upset and beat Tyson Fury, I would be absolutely amazed. I am not expecting Tyson Fury to lose this fight or even come close to losing this fight. Not even remotely. Schwartz, a guy who tries to quit in the second round against Senagashi, is not going to beat Tyson Fury. That's just not happening. So anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's happening. I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.